flew in over the low fence and splashed down near Serena, making as little noise as possible. He did not try to sleep. The night was fair and crisp, as nights often are just before Christmas. Clouds drifted across the sky in endless procession, partially hiding the stars. Louis watched the clouds, watched Serena as she slept, and waited for day to come, hour after hour after hour. At last a faint night light showed in the east. Soon creatures would be stirring. Morning would be here. This is my moment, thought Louis. The time has come for me to awaken my true love. He placed himself directly in front of Serena. Then he raised his trumpet to his mouth. He tilted his head. The horn pointed slightly upward towards the sky where the first light was shining. He began his song. Beautiful dreamer, he played, wake unto me. The first 3 or 4 notes were played softly. Then as the song progressed, the sound increased. The light in the sky grew brighter. Beautiful dreamer, wake unto me, starlight and dewdrops, and waiting for thee. Each note was like a jewel held to the light. The sound of Louis's trumpet had never before been heard at this early dawn hour in the zoo, and the sound seemed to fill the whole world of buildings and animals and trees and shrubs and paths and dens and cages. Sleepy bears, dozing in their grotto, pricked up their ears. Foxes hiding in their dens listened to the sweet and dreamy sound of the horn blown at the coming of light. In the lion house the great cats heard. In the monkey house the old baboon listened in wonder to the song. Beautiful dreamer, wake unto me. The hippo heard, and the seal in his tank, the gray wolf heard, and the yak in his cage, the badger, the raccoon, the ring-tailed coyote, the skunk, the weasel, the otter, the llama, the dromedary, the white-tailed deer, all heard, listened, pricked up their ears at the song. The kudu heard, and the rabbit, the beaver heard, and the snake, who has no ears, the wallaby, the possum, the anteater, the armadillo, the peafowl, the pigeon, the bowerbird, the cockatoo, the flamingo, all heard, all were aware that something out of the ordinary was happening. Philadelphians, waking from sleep in bedrooms where their windows were open, heard the trumpet. Not one person who heard the song realized that this was the moment of triumph for a young swan who had a speech defect and had conquered it. Louis was not thinking about this his large unseen audience of animals and people. His mind was not on bears and buffaloes and cassowaries, whatever they are, and lizards and hawks and owls and people in bedrooms. His mind was on Serena, the swan of his choice, the beautiful dreamer. He played for her, and for her alone. At the first note from his trumpet, she woke. She raised her head and her neck straightened until her head was held high. What she saw filled her with astonishment. She gazed straight at Louis. At first she could hardly remember where he was. Directly in front of her she saw a handsome young male swan, a cob of noble proportions. Held against his mouth was a strange instrument, something she had never seen before. And from this strange instrument came the sounds that made her tremble with joy and with love. As the song went on, the light grew stronger. She fell hopelessly in love with this bold trumpeter who had awakened her from her dreams. The dreams of night were gone. New dreams of day were upon her. She knew that she was full of sensations she had never had before, feelings of delight and ecstasy and wonder. She had never seen a finer-looking young cob. She had certainly never seen any swan with so many personal possessions around his neck, and she had never been so thrilled by a sound before in her whole life. Oh, she thought. Oh, 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 oh. The song ended. Louis lowered his trumpet and bowed solemnly to Serena. Then he raised his horn again. "Coho," he said. "Coho," replied Serena. "Coho, coho," said Louis through his trumpet. "Coho, coho," replied Serena. Each felt drawn to the other by a mysterious bond of affection. Louis swam once rapidly around Serena. Then Serena swam once rapidly around Louis. This seemed to amuse them. Louis dipped his neck and pumped it back and forth. Serena dipped her neck and pumped it back and forth. Louis splashed a little water into the air. Serena splashed a little water into the air. It was like a game. It was love at long last for Louis. It was love at first sight for Serena. Then Louis decided to show off. I'll play her my own composition, he thought, the one I made up for her last summer at camp. Again he raised his trumpet. Oh, ever in the greening spring, by bank and bough retiring, for love shall I be sorrowing, and swans of my desiring. What a nice picture of them. The notes were clear and pure. They filled the zoo with beauty. If Serena had been in any doubt before, she no longer was. She succumbed completely to this charmer, this handsome musician, this rich and talented cob. Louis knew that his plan had succeeded. His beautiful dreamer had awakened, and she had awakened unto him. Never again would they be parted. All the rest of their lives they would be together. Thoughts of small, quiet lakes in the woods where canebrakes grew and blackbirds sang filled Louis's mind. Thoughts of springtime and nesting and little cygnets. Oh, ever in the greening spring! Louis had been told once by his father what happened to deep-sea divers when they go far, far down into the ocean. At great depths where the pressure is great and the watery world is strange and mysterious, divers sometimes experience what they call the rapture of the deep. They felt so completely peaceful and enchanted they never want to return to the surface. Louis's father had warned him about this. Always remember, when you dive deep, he had said, this feeling of rapture can lead you to your death. No matter how wonderful you feel down there, don't ever forget to return to the surface where you can breathe again. Looking at Serena, Louis thought to himself, I think love is like the rapture of the deep. I feel so good I just want to stay right where I am. I'm experiencing rapture of the deep, even though I'm right on top of the water. I have never felt so good, so peaceful, so excited, so happy, so ambitious, so desirous. If love is like this on a cold day in December in the Philadelphia Zoo, imagine what it's going to be like in spring on a remote lake in Canada. These were Louis's secret thoughts. He was the happiest bird alive. He was a real trumpeter swan at last. His defect of being without a voice had at last been overcome. He felt very grateful to his father. Cautiously he placed his hand across Serena's long, beautiful white neck. It seemed like a very daring thing to do, but she seemed to like it. Then he backed away. Serena swam towards him. Cautiously she placed her head across his neck. It rested for a moment. Then she swam away. What a daring thing, she thought. But he seems to like it. How pleasing to know that I have found an acceptable mate. A cob I can love and respect. A cob that appears to be not only musical, but also quite wealthy. Look at all those things, said Serena to herself. Her eyes feasted on the trumpet, the slate, the chalk pencil, the money bag, and the life-saving medal. What a gay cob, she thought. What a dressy fellow. They swam off together towards the other end of the lake, where they could be alone. Then Louis, who was short on sleep, dozed off, while Serena ate her breakfast and fixed herself up. To be continued.